Short selling. What is short selling? Well, it's a way to invest and make money, but it's different. We all know the traditional way. You buy an investment, it goes up in value, you sell it, you make a profit. Well, short selling is actually the opposite. You want the investment to actually fall. So how does this work? Well, very simply, it's an investment idea. You go out and you borrow shares. Let's say shares, again, TD Bank seems to be the hot stock of the show today. So let's use TD. You go out and borrow shares of TD Bank. Then right after you borrow those shares, you sell them on the open market. Now you're left with, let's say, an amount of money. At some point, you need to buy back those shares to give those shares back to the institution or the person that you borrowed them from. So at some point, you got to buy back those shares. Now, if TD Bank is at $100 a share, you sell it for $100 per share, and you buy it back at $80 per share, well, there's your profit. You sold at a high, you bought back in at a low, you pay back the shares to the institution you borrowed them from. So it's a way of basically borrowing shares or selling the market short. So it's basically a way of making money if the market goes down. One of the biggest differences between selling short a stock or selling short or going long, which is the traditional way, buying stock and hoping it goes up, is when you sell short, your loss is unlimited, right? If TD Bank stock you buy at 100, we said it goes down to 80, you buy it back, you make money. But what happens if TD Bank goes to 150, 200, 250, 300? It's unlimited. There is no ceiling. So at some point, you have to buy back the shares you borrowed, and therefore the loss could be unlimited. At some point, you'll just have to buy back those shares and take your lumps and move on. So that's how short selling works. And during the banking crisis, there were billions of dollars made by short sellers. People betting against, especially the regional banks in the US. We saw some of these charts, or we will see some of these charts shortly. We saw people betting on some of the bigger banks. And here we have a chart, which we'll show you in a second. Largest short bets in financial stocks globally. And look who's on the top of the list. TD Bank. This has been a topic of conversation all day today. TD Bank being the most shorted bank. Now we look at banks in Canada as being our pillar of strength. People look at our banks as being strong, well capitalized, and well managed. And yet TD's on this list, Scotiabank is on this list. So what's going on here? Well, short sellers are betting on the next crisis or trying to bring down some of these shares. And when you sell short, keep in mind, you're selling the shares you borrowed. So if you have enough people shorting a stock, you're going to get a lot of investors selling short or selling off some of these stocks. And you can see, as you saw on that chart, Bank of America, JP Morgan was there, Citigroup. So you're seeing a lot of these larger banks coming down in price because people are borrowing stock and these short sellers are just selling the stock. But I also have some charts on some of these smaller banks in the US. First Republic Bank, a name that's been in the news quite a bit. You can see the sell-off there. I'm sure that's due to fear, short selling. Next chart we have is one of PNC Financial, one of my favorite investments to own. PNC Financial is the largest regional bank in the United States, one of the largest banks, top 10 in terms of size. Yet this stock has gone down significantly. At one point, well over $200 a share, and now sitting at $120, $121.75. Another one here, Zions Corporation, another community or regional bank. You can see the fall off there. So overall, a lot of these banks have been sold short. A lot of these banks have been sold due to fear. And in my opinion, these sell-offs are not warranted. And I think you're going to see money creep back into these banks over time. We're already starting to see that here over the last week or so. And I think that will continue as we move on in 2023.